There are a few different ways that you can get up on your wake skate. If it's your first time, I recommend the water start. As you get more comfortable on your board, you can move on to the beach start and the bomb drop. Let's get started with the water start and the steps it's going to take to get you up on your wake skate for the first time. The first way we teach to get up is the water start. Some beginners have a hard time making the board float underneath their feet, so we recommend letting the board float in front of you until you have the handle in your hand. Once you have the handle in your hand and there's little tension on the rope, you can go ahead and put your heels up on the heel side edge of your board. Once the driver of the boat puts the boat in gear and you get some more tension on the rope, if you push down on your heels, the board should pop up against your feet. From there, just suck up your knees and bring the board in as close as you can. From there, it's just like a normal start. The wake skate is misconceived as being harder to get up on than a wakeboard, but once you have tension on the rope and the board's against your feet, it's exactly the same. The water pressure keeps it against your feet and it just acts like a planer to get you up to the surface of the water. One of the most important things to remember when getting up on a wake skate is not to stand up too early. You want to make sure the board's up on the surface of the water before you start to stand up. If you start pushing your legs down while the board's still underwater, it's going to cause the board to get pushed further underwater and you're not going to get up. Another big problem people have is what we call plowing. Plowing is when you push your heels down too much and cause too much strain on your arms, making it impossible to get up. If you find yourself plowing, be sure to keep your knees tucked up in your chest and try to put more pressure on your toes to get the toe side edge of the board down a little bit more. If you push down on your toes too much, you're going to cause the board to sink underneath the water instead of coming up to the surface. So try to find a happy medium. You want to make sure you have your weight even when you're trying to get up using the water start. If you have more weight on one foot or the other, it'll make the board shoot out to the side. So make sure you have your weight even and your knees sucked up into your chest. I like to try to think about getting my heels to my butt. This really makes sure you stay sucked up all the way through getting up. Standing up too quick pushes the board underneath the water and makes it impossible to get up. Notice how Danny doesn't straighten his legs until his board has broken the surface of the water. Be sure when you put your feet on the board not to put them too close together. The closer your feet are together, the harder it is to get your legs bent underneath you. The taller you are, the higher your center of gravity, and the harder it is to get up on your wake skate. Once you've broken the surface of the water and you start to stand up, move the handle to whatever your lead hip is. If you're regular, you're going to use your hands to move the handle to your left hip. If you're goofy, use your hands to move the handle to your right hip. This will pull you in line with the rope. If you're having trouble not getting your front foot forward, try dropping your back hand once you've gotten up. This helps pull you in line with the rope and puts you in what we call the safety position. Now that you've gotten up and you're comfortable riding your board, you can start learning some different techniques of getting up. The next one we teach is the beach start, and it's very similar to just running and jumping on your skateboard. Basically, you just want to run, jump off your back foot, keep your eye on the board so you can jump and land on it with your feet in the right position. So you jump off your back foot, land on the board with your front foot, and then land with your back foot. Remember, you want to land with your front foot first because your stability comes from your front foot. Get your board in enough water so that when you jump on it, it's not going to bottom out. You want to make sure it's pointed in the right direction before you start going. The key to this is making sure you have rope tension the entire time you're doing it. You want to make sure you have good driver-rider communication, because if you jump on the board with slack rope, it's going to sink underneath the water. Get your board set up where you want it in the water. Step a few feet back from your board and get the driver to tighten up the rope. Once the rope is tight, communicate with your driver to start going. The driver should make a nice, steady, smooth pull off the beach. You have to judge how tight your rope is, because you don't want to land with slack and you don't want to get it pulled out the front. So be sure your rope is tight, start running, and jump off your back foot. Watch your board and land on it with your front foot, and then put your back foot on afterwards. The beach start tends to give you a little sand underneath your shoes, and that's kind of annoying in between grip tape and shoes. Remember, it's really important not to go too early. Getting slack on the rope is going to make the board sink underneath the water, and it's going to cause you to fall. And if there's anybody on the beach watching, you don't want that. If you're regular, you're going to jump off your right foot and land on the board first with your left foot. If you're goofy, you're going to jump off of your left foot and land on the board right with your front foot. Now let's go over our last way of getting up, the bomb drop. Again, doing a bomb drop on a wake skate is very similar to doing it on a skateboard, so you can practice it on the concrete first. For your skateboard, you're going to want to start on something a little bit higher than the ground you're landing on. On the skateboard, you have the luxury of being able to hold the board with whichever hand you want. But on a wake skate, you have to hold the board indie, so you might as well learn on a skateboard the same way. Hold the board with your back hand in the indie position. Take a few steps to get some momentum and jump off of your back foot. You should be watching the board while it's in your hand, put it under your feet, and let it go. Now land with your weight even and absorb the shock with your knees. On the wake skate, it's very similar, but just like the beach start, you want to make sure you don't have any slack on the rope when trying this. Driver communication is key to landing this trick, so be sure you and your driver have discussed things and got things figured out before you start trying bomb drops. Learn this trick on a small dock, slightly higher than the water. The concept is the same as on a skateboard. Watching the board is very important to make sure you land with your feet in the right position. Having your feet too close together when you land is going to make it very hard to absorb the landing with your knees, and it's probably going to make you tip over. I like to hold a few coils of the rope in my hand to give my driver an idea of how much rope I have left. You're going to want to start a few feet back from the edge of the dock. Drop the last coils in the rope and hold the rope up so the driver can see whether it's tight or not. Once the rope is tight, plan it out so when you take 2 or 3 steps, you'll be jumping off of your back foot. Again, make sure you don't have any slack in your rope. You want to be running at the same speed as the boat is going ahead, so you'll always have tension on the rope. Jump off the end of the dock, off of your back foot, and watch the board as you put it underneath your feet. I find after I let go of the board, putting my backhand back on the handle makes it a little easier to ride away. Sometimes the landing is hard, and there's a lot of jerk on the rope after you land. After you land, try to get on an edge to generate some speed and ride away.